Hello, second grade artists. Today we are starting our next activity in our unit called Art in My Community. We are going to begin our community hero portraits. This is a 4-week project. Today we are going to start by doing some definitions and some brainstorming. Community. What comes to mind when you hear this word? Your teacher will pause the video here and you can share your ideas about what you think of when you hear the word community. Here's the dictionary definition of community. It is a noun. Definition number 1, a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. Definition number 2, a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. When you talked about community as a class, you may have talked about your town, you may have talked about your school community, a club or sport you participate in. Places of work and places of worship can also be communities. Hero. What comes to mind when you hear this word? Dictionary definition of hero. It is also a noun. Definition number 1, a person noted for courageous acts or nobility of character. Number 2, a person who, in the opinion of others, has special achievements, abilities, or personal qualities and is regarded as a role model or ideal. When you talked about heroes, you may have come up with the idea of superheroes, which we're all familiar with from books and comics and movies. You may also have thought of Army, Navy, any other kind of service members, police or firefighters, veterans, healthcare workers, or frontline workers. Portrait. What comes to mind when you hear this word? Here's the dictionary definition. Portrait, also a noun. A painting, drawing, photograph, or engraving of a person, especially one depicting only the face or head and shoulders. Now, this is our one word that is an art word. And when we look back in art history, we see some examples of famous portraits from art history and portraits that you may have seen before. The first one is, of course, Mona Lisa. She was painted by Leonardo da Vinci, and he worked on this painting from 1503 to 1507. A much later artwork here, this is another kind of portrait that you may have talked about, a self-portrait. So here Da Vinci painted someone else, and here the artist Vincent van Gogh has painted himself, making it a self-portrait. He painted this in 1889. Another famous portrait is actually what could be thought of as a double portrait here. American Gothic by artist Grant Wood was painted in 1930. Looking at contemporary portraits, portraiture is still a very popular type of art making. You can see this portrait by Chuck Close is another self-portrait painted in 2012. This is a very interesting portrait. It has a very modern take on it by artist Jonathan Yeo, painted in 2018, of Johnny Ivy. And of course, we have former First Lady Michelle Obama, her portrait painted by Amy Sherald in 2018. Let's visit a portrait artist in his studio.
Oil paint, which has a very long history, is a paint medium which offers you an incredible wide range of colors that really goes beyond almost anything else that's available as you start to blend and mix colors on your canvas, on your palette. You have an incredible luscious richness which really is difficult to reproduce with any other medium. Hi, I'm Jeremy Sutton, and welcome to my art studio here in the Mission District of San Francisco. I'm a portrait painter, but I'm also a painter of many things besides portraits. Drawing still represents the root and foundation of everything I do. When it comes to drawing, I use a variety of media ranging from charcoal to Conte crayon, pastel, and I love to use ink and stick, meaning sumi ink. When I go around art exhibitions and galleries, I find it incredibly helpful to make sketches of the drawings or the paintings that I love. So for me, that's a very important way that I try to imagine what was it like when they did this. And it's also something that's rooted in the traditional way that artists have learned over the centuries. I visited a beautiful exhibit of Italian Renaissance drawings of these great master painters. And I just love the drawing by Titian called The Study of a Young Woman, done around 1490. I mean, it was just so poetic. It was a drawing that, as you looked at it, you could totally imagine sitting there in that scene and seeing that, beautiful young lady and having a sense of her personality and the softness that he conveys in the way he portrayed her in a very simple way. Historically, the church commissioned many of the major paintings of the day, plus the rich noblemen and noblewomen. And so they were the subjects of a lot of the commissioned works. My own choice of subjects, in a sense, is influenced more by the approach of the 19th century French Impressionists, who started looking around at everyday scenes and everyday people. So my choice of subjects it reflects the people around me. It reflects the things that I'm interested in as well. This is a portrait of trombonist Danny Armstrong. He's a wonderful musician who I've known for many years. He plays with LaVey Smith. I chose Danny because he has such personality and passion and soul in the way that he plays and in the way that he is. And so I very much wanted to capture that in paint. I love working with paint because it's just like an incredible, powerful way to express myself.
So, for our project today, we want to think about who are the heroes in our community. You are going to be making a portrait drawing, and we will be adding color. And the portrait is going to be of a community hero. The inspiration for this project came from a movement by artists working today on Instagram. There was a hashtag created, and this was in England, Portraits for NHS Heroes. So this stands for the Portraits for England's National Health Service Heroes. On Instagram, this was started where artists would offer to create a portrait for a frontline healthcare worker. The artist is matched with a worker who then sends a photo of themselves to the artists, and the painting is given to the healthcare worker as a gift to honor them and their service during this pandemic. 15,000 related posts on Instagram. There are so many artists and healthcare workers that are getting matched up and many people being honored for their service. It's a great way to honor the people who are helping us all during this pandemic. So, what community hero can you honor with a portrait? That is the question for today. And when you go to Seesaw, you will see that there is a template for you to give a response on. When you click Add Response on the activity number 2.13 for this week, you will see this template. There are two questions for you to answer. Question 1, what community hero will you draw for your portrait? In this box, you can type. You can also record your voice to give the answer to this. What community hero will you draw for your portrait? And then think about this. All community heroes do jobs that require certain tools, equipment, and uniforms. What details can you include in your portrait to show what job your hero does? So if you think about a police officer wears a certain type of uniform, a doctor might have a stethoscope or a clipboard with a chart with patient information on it, different things like that. If you look at slide 2,
there is an idea bank here for you to get some ideas or to help with spelling of the types of community heroes you might do your portrait of. And there's a note. Yes, if you have a family member or friend who is a community hero, you can draw them. Last year, one of my students drew his friend's dad, who is a firefighter. So you can make this a personal connection to this artwork. Another kid did his dad, who's a heart surgeon. So once you have answered the two questions in each of these boxes, or use the microphone or recording tools here to gather your ideas for step one, be sure you click your green check so your art teacher can see what you have thought about for your project today. Have fun!
So now it's time to go to Seesaw. Answer the questions on slide 1, and remember you can use the idea bank on slide 2 to help you come up with ideas or for spelling. And please be sure to click that green check to submit your activity to your art teacher. Next week we will do a draw along where we will draw a face together, and then the week after that you will start to add the details that will make your portrait look like a community hero. The last step will be to color. We can't wait to see what heroes you choose to honor.